on their way to London. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner went down 30 seconds after takeoff from India. Miraculously, one passenger did survive. We will go live to both India and to London in a second for details on the disaster and what we know about why this may have happened. Also, breaking news out of California, dramatic video from just a few hours ago. California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla forcibly removed from a news conference where Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was addressing recent ICE raids and protests. Law enforcement threw Padilla to the ground and handcuffed him after he interrupted Kristi Noem's event. He says he was just trying to ask her a question when things got ugly.
We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles. I also want to talk about specifically.
The senator was then taken out to the hall where he was forced down and handcuffed, his hands behind his back. He was later released. I want to break down the aftermath of this shocking scene at Secretary Noem's news conference in California, which Senator Padilla represents in the U.S. Senate. She went on Fox News, Secretary Noem, to explain her take of what happened from her point of view.
This man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. I had a conversation with the senator after this. We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked about the fact that nobody knew who he was. He didn't say who he was.
So, just a couple points there. She claims nobody knew who he was. He is a sitting United States senator in the state that she was visiting. Senator Padilla has held that seat since January 2021, so more than 4 years. That aside, the video of the exact moment that Senator Padilla interrupted her news conference shows he did, in fact, very clearly identify himself. Listen for yourself.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is that half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
So she said did not identify himself and was removed from the room, but you could very clearly hear him say there, I'm Senator Alex Padilla. We have this statement from DHS spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin criticizing him, and we're going to bring that to you in a second. But let's go now to CNN's Stephanie Elam, who was in the room at the time this happened. Stephanie, walk us through what you saw.
Yeah, I think, Jake, it's really important to make two key notes here on this. First of all, when the senator came in the room, he did not burst into the room. He walked into the room. And the other thing is he was still about 12 to 15 feet away from the secretary. Now, her press conference had started. She was in the middle of talking when he did just start talking. And that's the other key point. He started talking first. And when he started talking, he took a couple of steps. It was not a lunge, as it's been characterized. And then there were immediately hands on him from her detail, people pushing him away and back and moving him away from the. During that time is when he identified himself. So he did not identify himself first when he was asking the question and interrupting her. And those are two things I think are very important to note how this went down. But I'd also point out that we were inside of a federal building, which you have to go through security to get there. And there was a lot of law enforcement on that floor when we made our way up there as media to be there for that press conference. But afterward, we did hear, you heard from the secretary, we also heard from the senator, and he had a statement talking about the treatment that he received. Take a listen to what he had to say.
If this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country.
and you can hear he was a bit emotional. And a couple of times there where I felt like he did get a little, he welled up a little bit while he was talking. Also worth noting that we've heard this, it's already become a political game of hot potato here on who was doing what and how it was going down. And we're seeing that play out with on social media. We saw Governor Gavin Newsom putting out a tweet saying that Alex Padilla is one of the most decent people that he knows. He called this whole action outrageous. And in response to that, Tricia McLaughlin, who is the Assistant Secretary for DHS, she responded to that saying Senator Padilla chose disrespectful political theater and interrupted a live press conference without identifying himself or having his Senate security pin on as he lunged towards Secretary Noem. He was told to repeatedly back away and did not comply with officers' repeated commands. Secret Service thought he was an attacker and officers acted appropriately. She goes on to say that the two did meet afterwards, the senator and the secretary, for about 15 minutes. He was not arrested. He was not detained, even though we saw that he was handcuffed and put on the floor, according to what he said happened to him. But the difference here is about the approach. But I do want to characterize that there was some confusion there, and I think it was on both sides. Jake?
Yeah, I do think it's saying nobody knew who he was is not quite the own that I think the Trump administration might think it is. He is a sitting U.S. senator in the state that they were in, and it is an obligation of a secretary, cabinet secretary, to know who the public officials are. Stephanie Elam, thanks so much. Let's bring in CNN's Arlette Saenz. She's on Capitol Hill, where things are just as heated and contentious, although not physical, at least as far as I know. Arlette, a House hearing on Trump's immigration crackdown has been intense today. It turned into a shouting match over that dramatic incident involving Kristi Noem's security and Senator Padilla.
Yeah, Jake, tensions have certainly been running high across the Capitol today as many Democrats are incredibly frustrated with that scene that played out in California. Now, I spent the whole day here in this House Oversight Committee hearing where in just a few hours, repeatedly Democratic lawmakers have brought up this incident. And at one point, it resulted in a very tense exchange between Congressman Maxwell Frost, a Democrat, and the House Oversight Chairman James Comer and Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. Take a listen to a bit of that moment.
So you commit on the record subpoenaing Kristi Noem because a U.S. senator was just thrown to the ground, detained in his own.
Democrats can't follow the rules. Can't follow the law. Can't follow the law.
Just shut up. No, you don't. No, you're not going to tell me to shut up.
Let's what? How do you get him in order? You're running for the
not like that.
He has been out of order 6 times. He's trying to get on MSNBC. You probably not. I get it. Somebody off MSNBC get on there.
I think as he's been arrested as a former Antifa member, right?
Back to order, Ms. Green. Go.
He's a former Antifa member. Mr.
You're
Chairman,
you got
no
it.
surprise.
Now, Congresswoman Ramirez of Illinois also played a video of Padilla as he was being put into handcuffs by officers. The acting ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Stephen Lynch, said that they wanted a full investigation into this incident. Now, in other parts of the Capitol, you had House Speaker Mike Johnson, who had criticized Padilla's actions as wildly inappropriate. That drew some heckles from Democratic lawmakers who are very frustrated by the scenes that they've seen play out. And our colleague, Manu Raji, spoke with Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, who said she told Johnson that President Trump needs to lower the temperature when it relates to all of these incidents out in California.
All right, Arlette Saenz, thank you so much. I want to bring in CNN's chief congressional correspondent, Manu Raju. Manu, you spoke just a second ago with House Speaker Johnson. This incident with Senator Padilla and the security for Secretary Kristi Noem has become a major flashpoint on Capitol Hill today. House Democrats walked across the Capitol to the Senate Majority Leader John Thune's office, demanding he take some action. What did House Speaker Johnson have to say to you?
Yeah, and those group of members, mainly from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, that's a Democratic group, also tried to go into the Speaker's office and try to meet with Speaker Johnson. Johnson, they said, did not meet with them. during that time, but that came in the aftermath of Johnson talking to reporters about this incident in which he sharply criticized Alex Padilla, and he offered no criticism for the way that Padilla was treated at that time. And during that very tense press conference, Democrats were actually heckling Johnson in the middle of all of it, saying that he was lying about the incident. Johnson decided not to respond to that, but he did respond to the concerns that were raised about what we saw from that video.
A sitting member of Congress should not act like that. It is beneath a member of Congress. It is beneath a U.S. Senator. They're supposed to lead by example, and that is not a good example. We have to turn the temperature down in this country and not escalate it. The Democrat Party is on the wrong side. They are defending lawbreakers, and now they are acting like lawbreakers themselves. And I
oversight.
That's oversight, charging a cabinet secretary in a press conference. I beg to differ. I think that people do as well.
And Democrats say that was not what happened during that press conference where Padilla stood up and asked questions and was trying to speak up, of course, as we've seen there, ask those questions. They also, Democrats, though, downplayed the idea that whether he should have been there or not. This was, of course, a press conference where reporters ask questions. Senators don't usually come to press conference like that to ask questions to the cabinet secretary. But most Democrats have come to the Senate floor to demand either an investigation or call for Kristi Noem to resign as the Homeland Security Secretary. We're not hearing much criticism in the way from Republicans. A couple of GOP senators, including moderate senators Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, offered some level of concern. Lisa Murkowski called the episode shocking at every level. Susan Collins called it very disturbing. The Republican leader in the Senate, John Thune, said he had not yet fully reviewed the video when he was asked about this. And Majority Whip John Barrasso, the number 2 Senate Republican, told reporters that Padilla has a, quote, responsibility to his constituents to show up to work, not make a spectacle of himself. Jake.
All right, Monty Raju, thanks so much. We have much more reaction to this dramatic incident with Senator Padilla and the security for Secretary of DHS Kristi Noem. We are standing by for the Los Angeles Mayor, Karen Bass, to speak publicly, who very well will address this moment, as well as the protests in her city and the ICE raids. We're going to squeeze in a quick break. We'll be right back.